Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Melanie Dean. I'm a psychologist, a scientist, and a Hay House author of the book, The Hidden Power of Emotions. And you're listening to the Wavemaker podcast, where we explore how your emotions are real energy waves that are more powerful than you think. And so are you. When you learn how to tap the power of your emotions, you can attract everything in life that you want. It's not just positive thinking, it's science, and I will show you how. Today, we're going to talk about why complaining zaps your power. Now, when you notice something that you don't like and you become aware of it, most all of us have an automatic response of complaining about it, saying something negative about what it is you've noticed you don't like. Well, I am going to encourage you that this is a habit worth changing because it zaps your power. And it zaps your power primarily because it shifts your focus to that which makes you unhappy instead of having your focus remain on that which makes you happy. Well, then rightfully you're going to say to me, if something is not going well and I don't like it, I do need to notice it in order to decide whether to fix it. Well, yes, that's absolutely true. Of course, that is true. So it is important to do that without complaining. So here's why. You have probably heard some of my previous podcasts, and you know that your emotions are real waves of energy. And they are real waves of energy communicating in a shared energy field, in this shared field that we all are connected to and interacting with. So they are communicating both outside your body and they are communicating inside your body. And they affect your health and they affect your happiness. So your emotions, it's so important that you choose to activate emotions that can work well for you in this shared energy field, that can go to work for you to improve your health and improve your happiness. So here's how it works. Every emotion that you have, and emotions are made out of the same stuff that everything in the universe is made out of, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. When you have an emotion, your body makes a molecule made out of those elements. And every emotion has its own unique wave pattern. So if, for example, when you complain about something that you've noticed that you don't like and you allow yourself to stay with that focus of that which makes you unhappy and that which you don't like, that activates feelings inside of you, most likely, that are frustration. You want it to be different. Perhaps it even is angry. It's just you don't like it, and it activates those feelings inside of you. And those frustration or anger feelings inside of you, they have a wave pattern that is jagged and sharp and unpredictable in its spacing. So the wave pattern is it's not an easy wave pattern. It has sharp, jagged edges that are unpredictable. Because it has unpredictably spaced and sharp edges, it cannot easily sync up with similar other waves and be powerful in this shared energy field to bring you and connect you with what you want. As opposed to noticing something that you don't like and you are deciding, do I want to fix that or not? And if not, you're going to let your focus shift back to that which you do like. If you notice what you don't like and you decide it's worth my time and energy to make that different, that automatically has a more hopeful, happy, eager feeling because you can see a solution. You can see a pathway forward. And those feelings that are calm and purposeful and eager and hopeful, they have a wave pattern that is smooth and even and predictably spaced, which means that it can easily sync with similar other energy waves. And when your energy waves get in sync with similar other energy waves, they share encoded information at a quantum physics level, which we won't discuss today, that part. But they share encoded information. And so they improve your health when they're communicating inside of you. Those waves send positive messages to your cells, It improves your health. And outside of your body, those emotional energy waves, when they are connecting up and syncing up, you are getting connected with opportunities that are a match with that same vibration, that same energy pattern. So it really helps you connect and get what you want in your life. So it's very important, and I encourage you to pay attention to this seemingly automatic habit of complaining. It is worth changing in order to improve your health and your happiness. So I recently had an example of this when I had a family member send an email to everyone in the family, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, and I had put out a question to the family about what to do with some of my father's historical belongings and some items of historical value. And my family member emailed back with a lot of negative labels about how this question, if you were a thinking person, you wouldn't even have to ask this question, and none of you are paying attention and you don't think. And so he labeled the whole family as not paying attention and not thinking. Well, now I didn't like that. So I could have an automatic complaint about that, but I asked myself instead, can I do something about this? Well, the answer is not likely. I can't really change my family members' pattern of communicating. It's not likely to happen. So I'm going to let that part go. I can't make a change there. Now, what I could do, and I read between the lines, is that this family member was wanting to preserve this history in our family. And I could get behind that. I can be supportive of that. I can be helpful with that, and I can let the rest go because I can't likely make a change there. And it's not worth shifting my focus to unhappy, less powerful feelings rather than keeping my focus on that which I can do, which feels hopeful and feels happy to me. I think now is a perfect time to introduce my guest, who is going to expand on what we just talked about and share with us the right way and the wrong way to complain. There's a right way and there's a wrong way to complain. Well, he's going to share with us that and why that matters. I would like to introduce to you Colin Hiles. He's the mindset guy, is how he's known. And he is from Spain, and he is focused on helping people transform negative beliefs and emotional mindsets that are not working for them and transform them to being very powerful. Now, he focuses on a variety of challenges that we all have. We have challenges with anxiety, and we have challenges with negative beliefs. And one thing he focuses on is complaining and how complaining zaps our power. So it's so fun to have Colin on today because he also is a science guy, and everything he teaches is backed by science. So we will enjoy hearing from him. Welcome, Colin, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Melanie. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm wondering if you might just kind of start out and share your perspective with our listeners about what is complaining and what isn't complaining.
Brilliant. So, well, firstly, I think we're all guilty of complaining. We've got this complaint factory in our mind.
Yes.
And sometimes it produces an awful lot, and sometimes it produces very little, but we've all got one. So ultimately, the goal is to close down the complaint factory a little bit, or at least have it less productive. So complaining, let's talk about what it is, because I think this is really important for the listener to understand that not all complaining is created equal. Sometimes it's really important to complain. Like if we have bad service, we have every right to complain about the service. But as I said, not all created equal. So I have a very simple definition that I use, and I use with my clients. And
I like that. Simple definitions. Right? That's great.
Simple definition. So anytime I'm with someone and I verbalize a dislike or a discomfort, and one, the person I'm verbalizing to can't do anything about it, and two, I don't do anything about it, like offer a solution or try to make it better, then that's an energy zapping complaint.
Okay, so if you're just putting words out there that do not offer any sort of solution, then you're complaining.
Correct. So an example could be my wife and I, go to get a coffee, and we ask for two coffees. Two coffees are delivered, and I sip on it, and it's I like it, warm to hot, and it's barely warm. If at that time then I turn to Tor and start complaining about the coffee, then that is a victim complaint or negative complaint, because one, Tor isn't in a position to do anything about it. And two, I'm not doing anything about it. But if I get up out of my chair and go in and say to the young man or young lady or whoever's serving, excuse me, can you just warm this up a little bit, please? It's a little bit too cold for me. I'd like it a bit hot. Now, that is a legitimate, if you like, complaint.
So the difference between legitimate fixing something versus a complaint is whether there is a decision for action or whether there's action associated with it?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. If I complain to Tor and I don't do anything, it's inaction. If I get up out of my chair and try and fix it, then it's positive or proactive action, if you like.
Well, what if somebody notices something they don't like, but they don't want to take any action to fix it? Is that part of the equation here about complaining?
Yeah, and then that I would say then now this is a negative complaint. This is a victim complaint, if you like, and one that we should pay more attention to.
And so if you said, okay, I'm not going to complain, meaning I'm not going to speak out loud or spend my time with thoughts that are what you call the negative complaining, the victim complaining, meaning taking no action.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of that? Like, why spend time paying attention to that or, improving that within oneself? Why?
I think there's 4 reasons why we should be proactive and not reactive. Firstly, attention. So I think attention is probably the greatest creative force that we have. What we put our attention on grows. Where attention goes, energy flows.
I love that phrase. Where attention goes, energy flows. That's a great phrase.
Yeah, and reality grows. Right. So if you work backwards from that, you look at someone's reality, it comes down to the energy. You look at, well, what's the energy? It's, well, where's the attention or focus? Mm-hmm. And so when we are complaining, what we're doing is we're focusing on something that's not right, we dislike or wrong. We're paying attention to that. And of course, that then affects the reality in which we live in. So the first thing is that we're training our attention to focus on something that's not good in our reality. And if we're doing that, then we're not focusing on something that's good in our reality. So that's first reason why.
And so when you're focusing on something that's not good, that's bringing forth feelings of discontent.
Yeah.
And when you're focusing on something that is good, you feel better. And what's the second reason?
Well, if we follow on from that, and we start to do that, and that becomes the habit, then we get stuck in a negative loop. It becomes our default, if you like. We've trained our brain in which to focus. And there's that the more pattern. The more we do it, the more we do it. And the more we do it, the more we do it. This is the problem with habits, if you like. So we become trapped in this negative loop. And by the way, there was some research done, I think it was 1996 by Stanford, that found that if we complain, or this is a kicker, are complained to for 30 minutes a day, it literally damages what's called the hippocampus, and that deals with memory and learning. So it has a very negative effect on our brain when we are complaining or around complainers, the energy vampires or the mood hoovers, the individuals that just suck all the positive energy out of it. So fundamentally, neuroscience has shown that it's really not good for us to be stuck in that loop and to be spending time with people that are stuck in that loop as well.
Well, one thing I really love about the free videos that you offer and the toolkit that's on your website and the resources that you offer is that you're science-based. So I'm a sciencey, nerdy kind of person, so I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And so you've just described in terms we can all understand that it's a really grows that when you focus on something you dislike, that pattern grows in your brain, and that
Yeah.
then triggers more emotions of dislike. So it's
Yeah.
really unhealthy for our emotions, but it's also unhealthy for our general mindset, you being the mindset guy.
Yeah, for our brains. I mean, it's really not good. And then to link from that, then what happens is we start to wear this T-shirt that when we don't realize that we've got it on. You know,
Oh, wow. That's, yeah.
I am a victim.
Mhm.
And now, if in order to be a victim, there must be a villain. And so, the villain at this time is the person that's made me the coffee. Obviously, they're the villain and I'm the victim of this. And so we start to take on a victim mentality, and that zaps our power. That leaves us feeling powerless. So what we're basically saying is there's nothing I can do about it. It has to be changed by someone else. When the government, when, my next door neighbor, when my husband or my wife, when my bed, because sometimes we even complain it was the bed's fault that I'm grumpy today, right?
Mhm.
When my bed or whatever it is, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be positive. Then I'll be. And of course, it's not the way that it typically works, because often those things aren't things that we have that much control over. We can only control that we put our attention in the first place.
So, shall we go into step 4, or shall I ask this question about what to do? I mean, my main question in my head is what to do when you notice something that you don't want to fix or you can't fix, but you don't like it.
Yeah. All right. So I basically recommend 3 steps. These are the 3 steps that I know are in your book. They are the 3 steps that I went through when I started to try and close this complaint factory that was in my mind. I didn't realize how big it was, by the way. I thought I was quite positive until until I started doing what you've done, and the 21-day challenge or the 30-day challenge as I did it. So 3 A's. Firstly, awareness. Firstly, we are totally unaware of how often we do this. I smiled when I read your book, because I know that you were shocked almost immediately that you start there. Okay, I'm not going to complain anymore. You find that you've just complained again, and you didn't. It was like, And so using a very simple, and I'm really into gamification. Anytime we can make something like a game and fun, then we fire off this reward mechanism that's in our brain, and good happy chemicals. So just getting a band like this, which I know you did as well, putting it on the wrist and saying, right, anytime I complain, then I've got to take it off of there and put it back on there. There, put it on that wrist there. Now the goal is that it stays on one wrist for however many days you set. I set 30 days. I think you set 21 days. It's got to stay there. But you don't want to beat yourself up every time you move it. You want to actually pat yourself on the back, because what you're doing is you're becoming aware of something that you were totally unaware of before. And awareness is curative, isn't it? So the more we're aware, the more we can do something about it. You'll also realize that it's a socially accepted norm. It's generally how we get conversations off the ground. How was your day? Oh, my day. Off we go. We start complaining. Oh, really? Oh, you think your day was bad? Let me tell you about my day. And we try and out-complain each other, and that's a social norm, of course. So you realize very quickly. So the first thing is just to build some awareness, do it in a fun way, have fun around it, set a little target for yourself and see how you get on. But for goodness sake, make sure you pat yourself on the back every time you do a move, because that's a really good sign. That's a great thing. Once you've done that, then the second A is accept or change, right? So if it's something you can't do anything about it, one of the smartest things to do is just accept it and then move on. That lovely saying, accept what you can't change and change what you can't accept. Now, if you can't do anything about it, just accept it. Oh boy, if you can let go of the angst of continually wanting to talk about it and bring it up, and just let it go. And if it is something you can do something about, then change it. Take proactive action, change it to be able to move forward in a better way. So that's the next. And then the last action is really, it's taking that proactive action. It's the A for action. It's taking that proactive action, learning from this, improving oneself, training oneself to fix or change that you can, so that you improve the reality in which you live, because you're changing how you feel by putting your attention on something you can do, on something that you can move forward, which feels so much better, so much more empowering and energizing when we do that. And so I did 30 days of looking to keep it on one wrist for, that amount of time. You did 21 days. And I think out of everything I've done in my career, it was the single biggest impactful thing. It really, truly, it took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take me by a long shot. But I learned so much from it. I grew so much from it, more than probably anything else that I've done. And that's why I'm a big advocate of just training ourselves to close that complaint factory.
So I really love that. I mean, your teachings are all about increasing resilience and emotional strength. And so you and I are very similar in that this challenge, this complaint-free challenge, I did it for 21 days. And my 21 days took me 10 months to accomplish because I hadn't realized how ingrained that complaining habit was. Yeah. How long did it take you to do your 30 days of complaint-free?
Yeah, 7 months it took me.
7 months. Okay. Well, I guess, more complainy than you. It took me longer. It's like, so it's the value isn't getting to the 30 days or getting to the 21. That's not the value, right? That's not the value is the process that you go through in closing the complaint factory down, learning about yourself, learning about the people that you're around. You become very aware of who's the biggest complainer that I spend time with, who very quickly trips me up into complaining. It's really quite amazing. So that's really the benefit that one gets, I think one gets from doing the challenge. And just so that everyone's clear, basically, you say, how it took you 7 months or 10 months. The way it works is that if I put it on this wrist and then I complain, I put it on this wrist and I start back from day one. So I might be 7 days in. I just had an email yesterday from one of my clients who was 7 days in and went, put it back on here and start back from day one again. And so the reason it takes us so long is because you could get if you've done 21 days, you can get 20 days in and then complain and start over again. But I want to make the point that just do that when you do. I know it's that close, one day out. It's like, but it means that you're going to build more resilience for another 30 days or another 20 days. Because the tendency is once you've done it, you've kind of done it now. And then it isn't long before it begins to slip and slide. That's why I always wear this. It's there to remind me that the game's never over. It's you've forever got to stand guard out of what you let out of your mouth, because it's very easy to slip back into old ways. It so is.
This is why this is here. Yeah.
And I like, you're all about switching your mind up. So not only is it about what you let out of your mouth, but it's about where you allow your attention to go within your mind.
Yeah.
And so the benefit that you and I had a similar benefit, and actually we're very similar in that this was one of the single greatest gifts I gave myself was to free myself from the complaining.
Yeah.
And you mentioned empowered. You felt empowered at the end of this journey of really being aware of the complaining. And your step 2 was to evaluate, am I just going to accept this and move on? Or am I going to take number 3 step, which is to put some action behind correcting it? So I really like your 3 steps of awareness, acceptance, action. But most importantly, I love your word of empowerment. You mentioned that was one of the best gifts you got out of being shifting out of the complaining.
Yeah. Well, because you stop wearing this T-shirt, you fold it up and put it away. That's it.
Yes.
You're not a victim as much. And I didn't realize that if you'd have said, Colin, do you believe that you have a victim mentality? I've gone, Melanie, no way. No way. No, I'm a pretty positive, proactive guy. Let me give you some evidence of that. And it wasn't until I started doing this that I realized that no, nothing could be further from the truth. I definitely have a strong victim mentality. And when you say, like mindset, some people say, well, how do I know what my mindset is? Very, very, very simple. Listen to what comes out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. That's the strongest indication of where your mindset is. If you're focusing on something you have no control over, listen to what you're saying, because that's how you tell what your internal reality is just listen to your language. Language is probably the quickest way of figuring out what's going on inside. Just listen to what you say. Listen to the stories that you tell. And you'll soon hear. This is just a great way. Sorry, this is just a great way of, if you like, paying more attention to, and people say to me, yeah, but hold on, Colin, what if I don't say it out loud? Am I allowed to say it in here? Well, I say it's a step in the right direction, because at least you're now aware that you're doing it, And and a little while ago, I got an email from another client who said, Colin, can you send me another one of these? Because I send these out to my clients. Can you send me another one of these? My one broke, and my wife says I'm a much better person when I'm wearing it. so I had to send him another. He was in Germany. I had to send him another one. And that's the reality. The impact isn't just on us. It has an impact on those that we're around.
Yes, it really does. And taking off that victim mentality and putting on an empowered mentality just by shifting our focus, being aware of where we've had it and then shifting it to a more powerful place. So thank you so much, Colin, for sharing your wisdom and your science and your empowering 3 steps. And I'm just going to go over the 3 steps again. 1, which is to be aware, to pay attention to. And that bracelet certainly helps with awareness. And just to be aware of what you're dwelling upon, where your attention is going, the words that are coming out of your mouth. And then choosing. The number 2 step is acceptance. So you're going to be choosing whether you are going to accept it or whether you are going to take some action to correct it, which is the number 3 step. So I love that. The 3 A's of awareness, action, awareness, acceptance, and action. And thank you so much, Colin, for joining us and sharing this wisdom with us. And for my listeners, if you would like to learn more about empowerment and creating a greater resilience within yourself, go to Colin's website, COLINHILES.com, and put in a / toolkit, because then you will also get his free resources. Thank you so much, Colin, for joining us today.
Thank you, Melanie. It was great to spend this little bit of time talking about a passion that we both have.
Yes.
That's all for today's Wavemaker podcast. Thank you for listening. I have so much more to share with you, so be sure to tune in next month. And remember, go to my website, www.melaniedean.com, and join our free Wavemaker community, where you will receive even more science-backed advice for unlocking your emotional power.